I'm excited to introduce Tracy Pound, a true leader in the technology industry with over 39 years of experience. So Tracy is the founder of Maximity and managing director, a company she formed in 2000 with a mission to provide innovative and effective IT services to businesses of all sizes. Her journey in tech has been nothing short of inspiring, earning her recognition as one of the top women in technology and also a seat at the table as chair of the board of directors at CompTIA. Tracy's expertise spans across deploying major large-scale IT infrastructure, consultancy, sales and training, making her a highly respected figure in the industry. Today, she's here to share her insights on sales leadership, technology, and the unique challenges and opportunities that come with guiding businesses through a digital transformation. Let's dive into this conversation with Tracy. Hi, Tracy, and welcome to Taking It Beyond. I hope you're well.
I am. Thank you very much for having me on, John.
This podcast is very much about bridging the gap, and I'm talking about the sales skills gap. You and I, for years, have worked in the IT industry, and we're very aware of the skills shortage in IT technicians and technology. But now what I'm seeing is that there's a severe skills shortage in sales. And just as an example, almost 55% of buyers say that salespeople can't answer their questions when they ask. And there's another figure close to 60% that's saying salespeople don't have the necessary skills to do the job. So I'm just wondering, what's your thoughts on that? It's very similar to the IT industry. How do we improve that? How do we attract more people into a career in sales? We know we've been trying it in IT for years.
Yeah, it's a very good question. And I think it's interesting when you look at what's happened over the last few years. We've had COVID, which has meant that people have stayed at home, they've not interacted. We've had a wholesale change in view of where people work from. Do they work from home? Do they work from the office? Do they go out? And we've had a big change in marketing. And that's happened over the last kind of 10 years or so, where we've pushed a lot of effort into inbound marketing. So getting things into funnels. And then out of the bottom of the funnel drops a potential sale. And I think, sales can be hard because you've got to learn to take rejection. And people don't want that rejection. So I think they shy away from sales a little bit because marketing is so strong. And, you can get some great leads coming through. And sometimes that generates sales of its own accord because you can automate quite a lot of that process. But, at the end of the day, if you're going to sell, you've got to be able to ask for the sale. And there's nothing wrong in cold calling. There's nothing wrong in asking for that sale. It's a bit of a resilience question, I think. And, we've all got to the point where we don't want to upset other people and we don't want to be in a situation that could be seen as confrontational. So people have backed away from sales and marketing is taking that lead, I think. So I think, we end up in this situation where we don't have really good, strong sales training that leads to very good salespeople. And I think we need to pick that back up. We need some really good sales training. And we need people to understand that there's a difference between being told no in a business situation as opposed to the personal, I've been rejected because of this. And, we need to build that resilience. I think a whole host of things have happened over the past few years that have resulted in a sales shortage in not enough skilled people in this arena.
I recognize you mentioned asking for the sale, which is a vitally important component. But even taking a step back to before that point, to early on in the process when you meet with your prospect, stating your intent as to why you're there face to face with that customer. so that there's no ambiguity as to what you're going to be doing. And at the end, you ask for the business because you've proposed a solution that works for the customer. So I also see like the rapid evolvement in technology is a real frightener for some salespeople, and especially salespeople that mightn't have a great grasp of technology. And I think that's where training comes in, how to use technology along with skills training in sales. And I think there's a lack of investment in training. I'm not sure if you're seeing that specifically. I know you're at the supply and the demand end. You've got your own business. You're a CEO of your own business, but you also do sales training. And I'm wondering what you see in the investment side. Are people investing the technology? Are people staying up to date? And is that frightening and scaring people from coming into a career in sales?
I'm not sure it's scaring people away from coming into a career in sales, but I do think that a lot of companies don't yet have a fully formed end-to-end sales training and delivery process. So they might have a CRM system, they might have a few other bits and pieces, they'll have a marketing department, and they separate marketing from sales, but one feeds the other. So they need to be quite closely aligned. So the systems that are used need to flow through. And a lot of people misuse CRM systems. I mean, you've probably seen it. I know I've seen it over so many years. People think that with a CRM system, you can record every conversation, everything that's ever happened in that sales process. And as a result, you get nothing out of it because there's so much information. It creates chaos, it creates confusion. So people don't understand what to track. So they don't track what matters. They track activity for activity's sake, rather than the results of the activity. And I think that's where a lot of companies go wrong with it. And I think that's because we've lost a lot of really strong sales leaders. So we've not got the sales leaders setting those processes up in order for people to be able to follow them. We have very strong marketing leaders. And, you can set up campaigns, you can have auto follow-ups, you can do all of that kind of good stuff that delivers a lot of good customer experience for people. But it only goes so far. So, we've lost that end of the process, I think.
I totally agree. Aligning sales and marketing is which you alluded to there is one of the, on the face of it, it's actually one of the most difficult challenges it would appear in the business world. However, it is actually quite simple when you get both teams around the table together, you agree on what you want to do, sales and marketing. You then monitor the process to make sure everybody's adhering. You have very clear outcomes, and then you manage that and you watch and see how things develop. However, that's a very quick three-step process. It is far more complex than that, as we know. But how does sales training programs help? Can sales training programs help in any way to alleviate this gap? How can we use combining technology training and skills training, interpersonal skills training together in one program? Is that possible, or am I asking for too much there?
No, I think it's a very reasonable ask, actually, and I think it's a very sensible ask. They need to be combined together. I think sales training is absolutely vital to get some really good salespeople. And that involves uncomfortable things like role playing, which people never like to do. But it's the worst situation you'll ever be in your life. So when you're in a real live sales situation, it's so much easier than when you've done that sort of role playing. So I think to have a really good sales training program is very definitely needed. But what it does need as well is the key stakeholder involvement from people at the top of the organisation. And without that, you'll never get a sales program that has complete success because people are not bought into it. And I think the tendency is to put a training program in at the middle level, and for that to be seen as the way to address the problem without people at the top necessarily understanding they need to change. So, you have to have key stakeholder buy-in. You need really strong KPIs. You need to follow those through. And then you need the training program to be able to measure success as a result.
I agree. And your point about having senior executives buying into the program, because the sales and marketing training and the sales customized training programs that you would hope organizations would develop has to come from the mission of the organization. It all has to sync and dovetail in together so that sales and marketing are fulfilling the objectives of the organization. So that is an incredibly valid point. And I also think I mentioned it there, is continuous learning. I'm a great believer in empowering people to take responsibility for their own development. The organization can help greatly in terms of providing programs and support, but ultimately it has to come down to the individual to take responsibility along and buying into those corporate training programs. So yeah, I agree with everything you say there. At really valid points. Sort of changing tact a little bit and moving along. There's been a lot of changes in technology. There always are. But AI is transforming the sales industry and what we do. What have you seen from your trips and your role as chair of CompTIA, working with your own business? What have you seen? How is AI transforming the sales industry? How is it transforming the way we operate, the way we work? Have you seen anything on your travels, on your trips so far?
So far, I think we're very early on in the AI work. I think we're using it better from a sales perspective to get better content, to get better campaigns, to have automated follow-ups on those campaigns so that people feel like they're in touch with a real person. And I think, just things like writing an email to somebody, to be able to find the best form of words to use. I think AI is helping in all those areas. I think where it'll help in the future, there's so much scope around the future. Things like forecasting, using AI to predict where you're going to get sales from, what those sales volumes should look like, to improve your marketing strategies overall. So things like A/B testing, which I know we have at the minute, but to kind of automate that one stage further, to look at trends and see what's going on in the industry. Chatbots we're already starting to use. I think we'll see much better and intelligent use of chatbots as AI gets more mature as a product. And things like augmented reality, virtual reality, being able to do immersive demonstrations, to be able to show people, really paint that picture of what the future would look like if they bought the products or the services that are on offer. So I think there's a lot of future scope for AI. Don't think we're fully there with it yet.
Yeah, I would totally agree. And I think it's evolving and we're seeing how it's playing out over the next couple of months and years. And I agree with you. It's, when AI first arrived and we all hear the horror stories and the scare stories, it's going to take over the world and nobody's going to be working and we're all going to be whatever. But I see it a hand in glove, humans working with technology to improve the process, to streamline the forecasting predictability as much as we can. How are customers buying? When are they buying? All that sort of stuff can save a lot of time. I totally agree. It's going to be an interesting time ahead for us. And I think it's all good. I think if we use it properly and salespeople embrace it rather than concerned about it, I think we've got a bright future ahead of us. So, combining, you touched on CRM systems, and it's a favorite of mine. When I was in sales and I started many, many years ago selling IT peripherals, and I always used a CRM. I don't know whether it was because my memory was so bad, but I tried to put the most important things in there, about customers so that I could go back and rely and really understand the customer and their trends. But I see in a lot of organizations today that CRM is something that's not used very often, but yet it can be a powerful tool for personalized communication, for understanding your customer better, for linking up with AI so that you can use technology better. I seem to think that my opinion is the CRM is the bedrock. I agree with you, not too much information, but there has to be a benchmark. There has to be a certain amount of customer information in the system. Why do you think salespeople are reluctant to use CRM?
Oh, that's the question of all questions, isn't it? I think, salespeople, to be a salesperson, you've got to be a particular type of person. quite outgoing, strong-minded, resilient, hardworking, but not necessarily admin focused. And I think one of the appeals of being a sales exec is a little bit of freedom about how you work and what you do. And I think a lot of people therefore see CRM as something that takes that freedom away. And I think that's because a lot of companies misconfigure CRM solutions. So they don't involve the sales execs who are actually out in the field in the design of the CRM system to begin with. So, it's a match, isn't it? If you've got a CRM system, the business needs certain information out of it. So it wants to know the opportunities, the value of those opportunities, who they're with, the frequency, win-lose rates, all those kinds of things. And the salesperson wants somewhere where they can record, like you said, like you do, the important steps in the journey to communicate and learn about that client. And I think it's making sure that the two meet together. So when salespeople ask to build something on a CRM system, it's not for its own sake, that it has a purpose and they can see data coming back out as a result of the input that they put in. It's, they're not data inputters. They're not there just to feed the system. They're there to generate business on behalf of the business that they work for. So they should be getting good analytics out of it, and rarely does that happen. And I think all of that contributes to a poor CRM implementation. And I've seen a lot of those, as you probably have too.
Yeah, and I think it's all of the above in the mixer. And I really agree with you in terms of getting buy-in from sales team, from those that are going to be using it. However, you get too many people involved and you've got too many ideas and you've got a lot of stuff going on and everybody's got an input.
For sure.
I think it's a happy medium somewhere in there between all those things all together. And that's one of the challenges, right? CRM is a big challenge. I see it all the time, more so now, working as a consultant and a sales trainer and coach as well, that people are very, very reluctant. And I'm wondering if that's something where sales training can help, showing and demonstrating that, hey, this is a win-win situation for you. And we need this basic information in order to power all the rest of the business, to power our forecasting, the trends, etc. What products are coming down the line? I know product teams will try to understand what is the demand for their products 4 or 5 months ahead. And if CRM isn't fully loaded and working, then that doesn't really work. So how can we develop our sales training programs? I know you're a sales trainer as well. How can we evolve our sales training programs so that it combines technology, CRM, AI, to engage salespeople so we get this all-rounded professional salesperson for the future, safeguarding our industry?
Absolutely. And I think it goes down to process design. So, you're starting at marketing and you're moving into sales that's ending up in delivery. And I think we need, from a sales training point of view, sales training doesn't start at sales. It starts with a link in with marketing. And it doesn't end when the sale's made. It kind of ends when we're partway into delivery. So I think building sales training programs that link out to the input and the output of the process help, because they position sales then. And particularly with delivery, delivery is, right, you said you've sold this. I'm now going to implement that solution. How's it going? And it's a feedback loop then, because if the delivery is not going well, the salesperson needs to know about it to refine what they do the next time round. If it is going well, they want to be able to use that as a case study for the next time that they try and sell that product or service. So I think it's having a relationship, not working in isolation, but working in concert with marketing and delivery, having that process. And I think with sales training, very much needs to be tailored. So to have a program that fits the company that the sales training is being delivered for, understanding their culture, understanding what drives behavior, because a training program should result in a different behavioural output. And sometimes the culture of a company can inhibit that. So understanding the culture of the organisation, how that has an impact on people learn and how they're treated whilst they learn. So, when you learn, you get things wrong more often than you get them right to begin with. And you need a supportive environment, particularly in sales, because people don't want to fail. So, if they're being told, right, you've got to go out, you've got to say this, and you've got to have this interaction with a prospect, and it will result in a sale, and it doesn't, then the salesperson thinks, well, this isn't working for me. But you can't say that based on one sale, because you learn. So, you do it wrong, you refine something, you do it more right, you refine something, you do it even more right. So it's a process of going from more failure to more success. And companies have to support their salespeople through that. And sales training programs need to reflect the fact that salespeople will get stuff wrong before they get it right. And some of that is really helped by doing role plays, because it gives you the opportunity to feel stupid and get it wrong and practice at getting it wrong time over time. But you can't always do that. You have to sometimes be out in the field and just get it wrong. But what you don't want is for the KPI that says, right, what's your sales figure this month? Well, it's nowhere near what it should be. What have you been doing? If you've got that type of culture, you don't encourage people to learn. So I think sales training programs need to show that it's an evolution to get somebody from no sales knowledge successfully through to getting more sales and more yeses than they get no's.
Yeah, and that's key, is bringing them on that journey. And as well, it's a combination of all that stuff you've just mentioned. It's aligning support of the company they're working for, an emphasis on customer-centric selling, combining technology and soft skills, emotional intelligence, all that stuff. And I really liked your point about, when you touched on blended learning. We talked a little bit about in-person learning. I think that helps a lot. We can have the in-person one-to-one, working maybe with a group. We can have virtual, and I always, as is going back earlier, the salesperson has to take responsibility in this journey themselves. They just can't sit back and expect everything to be given to them. And I don't think that's the case anymore. So again, thinking from the salesperson's perspective, not the business or the trainer or URI, what can they do to stay ahead of all the trends, the technology, customer-centric selling, solution selling, all those sexy titles and all those sexy stuff? How can they stay ahead of that?
The internet is a wealth of information. I think exposing themselves to as much as they can in the field of sales, whether that's reading a book or watching what other companies do or going to events or putting themselves through their own sales training. I think being self-responsible, as you said, I think that's the key to it. Because, to be a good salesperson, it's a hard role. It's not easy, especially in the IT channel. So you need to be a self-starter. You need to have a lot of resilience to be able to do it. There has to be a strong, why am I doing this in it? And if that's not there, then that's not necessarily going to result in a great career. So I think it's understanding, why do you want to sell? What do you get out of it? What does it fulfill for you? And then where can you go? Who can you? So things like mentors, if you can get a mentor in either the tech industry or in sales, either of those would be a really good bet to help people to improve their skill set and to advance in their career. And try stuff. Just don't be afraid of technology. We are so lucky to be in an industry that does not stand still. I've been in tech for almost 40 years now, and I love the fact I never get 2 days the same. I never get 2 years the same. Everything moves forward. You can use technology. It's a tool. It's a means to an end. And if you see it for what it is, it's not here to take our jobs. As you quite rightly said, it's not going to replace everything that we do. It's going to enhance what we do. And the people that succeed will be the people who embrace new technologies and see them as something that will enhance their role, not remove their role.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said there, Tracy. And I also think that, and I'd be interested to get your opinion on this, is AI is starting to, and we're not quite sure where it will take us, but from an IT technician role and those help desk roles, they're going to change completely in the future. Entry level to IT is probably going to rise. And I think the same is true for sales. When buyers are not engaging with salespeople until they're 50, 60% into their buying journey, less engagement with maybe salespeople just starting their journey. So is it a case that those less impactful salespeople will not have jobs, or how is that going to impact people looking to come into sales and those already in sales? Are we going to see a more efficient sales force with those that aren't capable, let's say, dropping off, or how is it going to impact the future?
People who are not so good, they're a bit lower level at sales and they want to stay there, I think they may well struggle, because AI can take away the repetitive drudge of what people do. And that's what it's going to do with help desk. It's going to take away the level one, perhaps a little bit into level two support. What it won't replace is your network architect and the people like that, security consultant, who have knowledge that they can draw on of past experience to say, well, I know that this problem is likely to be caused by this. So, that experience is a bit harder to replace with AI at the moment, because you need the ability to be able to think critically as well as the technical knowledge that goes with it. And I'm sure AI will improve to the point at which it can do a lot of stuff on its own. But I think where you've got human relationships, it's harder to replace those with technology, because people buy from people and people will always buy from people. And yes, you've got transactional sales. You can go onto Amazon. You don't need to speak to anybody. You can search for your product. You can put it in your basket. You can see who else bought other things that were like the one that you bought. And that's a very good use of technology. But if you're buying something complex, you want to speak to somebody who can reassure you that you're making the right decision. And AI will go so far into that, but people still want to deal with people. And, there are aspects of emotional intelligence that AI is not going to do in the mainstream world. It might be from a technology point of view, but it certainly isn't what we see in mainstream use. So I think whilst there is still the need for a human relationship, we are still important in that process.
I would agree. And in my previous podcast, I did very specifics around AI, and we talked about smash and zero. When you're on the phone to a help desk and you've got all the chatbots in your ear, you just want to speak to a human, right? So you're smashing 0, 0, 0. Get me a freaking human quick, right? So that I totally agree. I think it's still going to become very much conversation. But at the end of the day, we can use technology to help grow our businesses. We work hand in glove with technology. And I think we've got a very bright future. I think sales, particularly those that are taking responsibility for their own development and using technology hand in glove, as I say, my own view is that sales training, using coaches, sales training coaches like you, like me, that have experience. And I particularly like although it's something from the past, that role playing has significant importance. I know salespeople hate it. I, in the past, perhaps did at some occasions, but I found it when I first got into sales that one-on-one role playing helped me tremendously. Embarrassing, but at the time, but I think it's so effective. And I think tailored, customized coaching, mentoring, learning for salespeople, using IT and technology to help is the future. Tracy, I would like to thank you very much for today. I appreciate you coming on, and I look forward to hearing from you in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. It's been my absolute pleasure.